Hello, can you hear me? Hello, I'm Suzanne and I'm a member of a group of women in Glasgow who came together to challenge what's going on in schools here. We call ourselves Parents Watch Education Glasgow, and you can find us on Twitter or X as Edu Glasgow, so that's EDU Glasgow. I've got some business cards with me as well with our email address and our Twitter handle. We're a diverse bunch from different countries, with different sexualities, with different political affiliations, different faiths and none. And we have family and friends who are LGB and some who identify as T, who we love. So at the end of May this year, we were being made aware of the Education, Skills and Early Years City Policy Committee and what was being pushed by the Equalities Agenda as directed by the Education Equalities Working Group. That's in the Education Committee over there. No parents or anybody outside the committee or organisations involved knew about this at all. It was a huge shock when we realised what was being snuck in under the radar with no consultation with parents. And when what we realised was that schools are not safe spaces for children anymore. Since then, we have written to the councillors on the committee noting our reasonable concerns about gender ideology and sexuality education in schools. We've written to the Lord Provost about the unevidenced statements and emotionally manipulative language used by councillors pushing this cause. And last week we wrote a letter to the Director of Education, Douglas Hutchison, which was signed by a large number of constituents across Glasgow, but to no avail. There's been total lack of engagement with any of us. Even when I visited my local councillor about this, he refused to engage and he doesn't answer emails, and he's sitting on the Education Committee. So we're standing here while the Education Committee are meeting, who have agreed the motion to embed highly contested gender ideology in schools using Thai and LGBT Youth Scotland without any knowledge or agreement of parents. The majority of people do not agree with what is happening in Glasgow City Council. So in nurseries, primary and secondary schools, they want to force the lie to children that humans can change sex. Young children who are suggestible and trust adults to tell them the truth. This is wrong and children are being failed. The results of recent research in British social attitudes show a marked decline in acceptance towards trans people and issues. Why is this, do you think? Well, it's because the more people learn about gender ideology, the less willing they are to tolerate it. This is the precise opposite of other forms of social and cultural change. It's authoritarian rather than liberal to force people to accept a lie, and people are waking up. There are vulnerable children who are caught up in this lie, who are socially transitioned at schools, which we know is not a neutral act, without the knowledge of parents or actively against parents' wishes. This can put children on a pathway to drugs and surgeries which could damage them irretrievably and doesn't fix their problems, but increases them in a vast number of cases. Failure to recognise a child's biological sex in schools is a huge safeguarding risk, and no girl should have to undress in front of a boy or vice versa, and certainly no child should be lied to or forced to lie about another child's sex. No child should be set on a pathway towards permanent sexual dysfunction and infertility by a school. Schools are unsafe spaces for children. Also in schools, inappropriate sexuality education backed by the Scottish Government, Glasgow City Council and the UN is being rolled out. So many parents aren't aware. I hear loads of stories of kids being traumatised, visibly upset, refusing to go to school after being exposed to this by teachers. It is very worrying to see children being subjected to inappropriate sexual ideas and the transgressing of boundaries, and it is exactly how a sexual predator might groom a victim. A massive safeguarding failure is being perpetrated by those who should know better, and it is adult activists and politicians who are pushing these reforms on children. Adults with little or no experience in child development earning money and kudos from the huge industry that has grown around what is seen as a progressive cause. And the result is schools are not safe spaces for children anymore. So my message to Glasgow Education Committee is remove gender ideology completely from nurseries and schools. No more lying to children that they can be born in the wrong body. Put in place robust anti-bullying and anti-discrimination strategies. Remove RSHP in schools as it is currently for revision after consulting with actual parents. We need schools to be safe spaces for children again. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for coming today. I've just been reminded by a lady here that there is currently a consultation in the Scottish Government around these issues, so please go on to their website, Scottish Government website, and make your voices heard. Thank you again for coming today everyone, and I hope it was